Okay. Oh,
So we did it.
so nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
You are in Leipzig right now?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
nice. I've never been there. I need to get,
Really?
yeah, just, oh, it says you're unable to join. What? You're still there, right? Oh, please don't have more troubles this week. Hmm. I don't know what happened just now. Eva, what's happening? Go live with Eva. Okay. Let's not have techno issues. Are you back?
Yes. Oh no. Is it the same as with Heike? Oh no.
But I don't see any movement. It's just a picture of Eva.
I'm standing still.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I can see you move and me move. So,
Oh,
well,
the thing is that we hear you, and I assume
okay.
you, maybe Erica or Sean, you can tell me if you can see Eva live or okay, looks okay to me. Do you?
Okay. Am I moving?
Yeah, it looks like it. You are, and
Oh, okay. That's good.
you're just a picture. I, but
I think it's because of the distance, right?
I don't.
Across the continents.
I I spoke with Chile, and that's even farther from here. So I think
Oh, maybe it's only Germany. Hmm.
Erica's more than okay. So that
Okay.
that's one. Anyway, let's get started and hope that
Yes.
technology is not a. So maybe we can just start with my usual question: where you're from originally, and um, about your training and musical training, and any other thing that's relevant in that way.
Okay, so as some of you might already know, I'm half French. So my mother is French, but I was born in Germany, in Bavaria. And yeah, I grew up there, and my parents are no, they weren't musicians. So I didn't know that, yeah, actually this could really be a profession. And I started to play the flute, and then I played violin, and then I developed, yeah, the feeling that I want to become a musician. And I started to play piano really, really late with 16. And so I had to do a lot and to practice a lot. And then I did my first studies with Schulmusik. So in Germany, this is something like a Studium Generale. So you have a lot of subjects and also conducting. And that was the first time that I really had a baton in my hand.
Okay.
And yeah, it clicked immediately. And so I knew I wanted to become a conductor. And so I finished those studies, and then I continued with my master's degree in Weimar, which is a really famous university, especially for conducting. And I was so happy that I was able to do my studies there. And yeah, well, then I became a freelance conductor.
Okay, amazing. Well, I was going to ask you, I mean, there seem to be many sides to Eva
Mm.
Meitner, and let's start with the Dirigentin side of you. So you
Mm.
it through your undergrad studies, kind of like a general program to prepare people for lots of different ways of being a musician, like for school teachers, music teachers. The
Mm.
program you were in was kind of a general beginner conducting thing, and then you specialize soon after that, or how did it work?
Well, in my Schulmusikstudium, it was quite tough in the beginning because I remember we started with a rehearsal. So the first thing was that we learned how to beat four and three and something like that, the basics, and then we started with a rehearsal, and it was Mozart, and I was really surprised because I didn't have any problems to rehearse. I did a lot of chamber music with my violin, So I always played in string quartet and also in the orchestra. So I was used to rehearsing or being rehearsed. And so it came really natural to me. And we started with Mozart. And then the next piece, I remember this, was Fledermaus Overture by Strauss. So it was absolutely nothing for beginners, actually, far too difficult. But it was fun. And yeah.
These waltz feel that's quite specific.
Yeah, but the overture is really, there are so many transitions.
Yeah.
It's really a difficult piece actually for master's degree and not for Schulmusik beginners. I mean, it was the first term, and this is how I started. But it was a really great training, and I had my teacher was a female conductor, my first teacher, and now that I'm older, I think this may have had a big impact on me.
Right.
I didn't realize it then, but I think she was sort of a role model.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it seemed just normal to you. It wasn't like, oh wow, a woman conductor. It wasn't anything like
Yeah, exactly. I started and it was a woman teaching, so okay,
that.
no problem. And then I continued my studies in Weimar, mainly with opera, because my teacher, Martin Hoff, was an opera conductor. And I loved opera at that time. So this was my main focus. And now, meanwhile, it has changed a little bit. I mean, you talked about the many sides of me. I think what is really, yeah, typical about me is that I'm very open-minded and I like a lot of different styles. So I like symphonic, and of course I also like opera, and I also like chamber music and playing solos. So I think we are all musicians, and the musicians in earlier times also had a big focus. When you think of Bach, I mean, he was really wide in his thinking. And nowadays, I have the feeling that a lot of people want to be specialized. And I'm not sure if this is a good thing, because everything is linked to each other. When you don't have a feeling for being a good chamber musician or being a good soloist and producing good sounds, then it's quite difficult, I think, to do the big forms.
Absolutely.
And otherwise, when you don't think in big steps or in big ways, then you can't be a good solo musician. So I think we really must have the big picture.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that you also had the wind instrument and the string instrument and being a keyboard player.
And I love to sing. I sang a lot in choirs, and especially when you do opera, this is really important. And of course, I mean, the basic of playing piano is always this chanting. Yeah, you want to have a beautiful sound, which is singing, a singing sound.
Yeah, and you must have played in orchestras as a violinist, or also flute.
I also played what was needed.
Aha, okay.
Yeah, so I played Moldau in the violin section and also in the flute section. It was quite fun. I liked the challenge.
That reminds me a little of my story. At that age, I was also a violinist and an oboist.
Ah.
Yeah, they needed an oboist in the bolero. So.
Oh, wow.
I remember nearly passing out, like blacking out in the section. Yeah, that's very good to have that experience, and also knowing the breadth from the point of view of a wind player and from the point of view of the singer, as well as the phrasing from the physicality of the strings. So, wow, that makes sense that you would take to conducting.
And it's good to know, I think, what the feeling is like when you are sitting in the orchestra. So what do you need from the conductor and what is disturbing? And also the little connections in between the orchestra when you listen to your left side or your right side.
Totally. And
Yeah.
that my sense is also that having a background as an opera conductor, it's almost the best training to be any kind of conductor, to start from opera conducting.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of different things you have to keep in mind. When you do symphonic, it's not so dangerous when you
Yeah,
change tempo, for example. Then you just change tempo and okay. But with opera, and the people walking around on stage everywhere, and everyone has problems, and you have to have a good discipline.
yeah, that makes sense. And an understanding of
Yes.
how it is to sing.
And also get a good feeling. Is everyone having a good day today, or is there any trouble? How can you save everyone?
Right. Sensitivity. So,
Mm.
um, what sort of repertoire now since that time when you were studying your master's? Um, what's your repertoire been as a conductor? Do it again in
It's again the wide range, but it has changed. So in the beginning, around 2015 or something, I did absolutely everything. So I conducted opera like Wagner, Flying Dutchman, Hänsel and Gretel, and also, of course, the symphonic repertoire with my orchestra in Hoyerswerda. So the Schumann symphonies, Brahms symphonies, Bruch Violin Concerto, Mussorgsky pictures of an exhibition. So yeah, the normal repertoire, I would say. And also we did a lot of Johann Strauss because we have a New Year's Eve concert, so quite traditional stuff. And I also had choirs at that time. So we did, for example, Haydn, The Creation, and yeah. And I think around, yeah, 2018, when I founded my Freies Orchester Leipzig, that was the beginning for me personally to change my orchestra repertoire, because with Freies Orchester Leipzig, I had finally the possibility to perform works by female composers, such as Ethel Smythe, the Wreckers Overture, which is
fantastic.
it's absolutely amazing,
Mm-hmm.
and Amy Beach, Gallic Symphony. By the way, this was my first contact to female orchestra music, because I wondered. I never ever heard any work by a female composer, apart from Chaminade Flute Concerto. But when I was younger, I didn't realize that this was a female composer. I just didn't realize it. But I didn't know that there were any symphonies written by women. And so I just checked YouTube and searched for symphonies by female composers. And I thought maybe there's one symphony if I'm lucky. And then the first goal, or the first hit, was Amy Beach Gallic Symphony. So I clicked on that, and I was completely overwhelmed, because this piece is so huge and it's so good. And then I had the algorithm, and it kept me going. And I thought, oh my God, is this true? There are so many symphonies. And then I started to do research and found out that there are over 500 operas written by women.
Oh,
And I couldn't believe it. And so this is the reason why Amy Beach Gallic Symphony is quite a thing for me, because it opened me somehow the world to female composers.
a massive portal.
And yeah, and what we also played was Alice Mary Smith Symphony. She's a British composer, also a fantastic symphony, and Fanny Hensel, of course, the overture. And before the pandemic came, I actually wanted to do a concert with a theme of Europe. So works by female composers based in Europe, so French and also British, because I think it's really important to keep Europe together. It was the time of Brexit.
Right.
And this is why I thought we absolutely have to have also British composers in this concert. Then the pandemic came and disturbed everything. And but I had the possibility this year again to conduct female composers with Track 15. This is a female film music composers collective based near Berlin in Babelsberg. And there, I recorded works by film music composers, and this was fantastic too. I really liked it.
Wow. So when you started that YouTube search, what year was that? Across any...
I think 2016 or something, but I just did it for curiosity at that time. I didn't have the possibility to perform anything, but I was so curious, and yeah.
You somehow just thought, hey, wait a minute, where are the women? And
is there one? No, not where are the women, but is there one work, if I'm lucky, by one female composer, maybe? And then I got overwhelmed.
Yeah, so then as that happened, I'm sure it became fuel for the fire to keep looking and working in that field.
And I couldn't believe, I remember, I couldn't believe that there are really 500 operas written by women. So I started to print the list.
Okay.
And then it kept going and kept going and kept going. And I still have it because it's so impressive. You have so many names written on the paper.
Yeah.
And I never, ever heard a work by a woman performed in an opera house.
Yeah.
So this is my next aim. I want that. I want to hear that everywhere.
Yeah.
And not once, but really as a normal standard.
Yeah. So this idea of founding the Freies Orchester, like that did give you that freedom, that Freiheit came from Freies Orchester to conduct works by women. So I guess now you would be starting the Freies Opern. New opera.
At the moment, the problem is really with this pandemic because we are a freelance orchestra. And we started in 2018 because here in Leipzig, there's always the Lichtfest Leipzig, so Festival of Lights, celebrating the peaceful revolution.
Right.
And they asked me whether, because they knew that I like, that this theme is interesting for me, also with emancipation and female rights. And they had the focus on 100 years female votes in Germany.
Okay.
So they asked me, would you like to perform with a female orchestra?
Brilliant.
We want an all-female stage. And then I had the idea to ask them whether we can go a little bit further and not only see only women on the stage, but also hear women on the stage. And they said yes. And this was the big turning point. Because I must say, before that, I always wanted to perform works by female composers, but it never worked because nobody wanted to do it. I heard all the arguments, so all the points from there is nothing existing to people don't want to play it, people don't want to hear it, the whole range. And so this was really, I'm so grateful that this was the time it worked out. So this was the first project, and then the next project, so we continued because the orchestra liked it so much, and I also did, so we wanted to continue. And we did this in 2019 with the Messe, the fair in Leipzig, and there we also performed a female composers program. But we depend on the money, of course, because I have professional musicians in the orchestra, and I want them to be paid. So with the pandemic, we have the problems: no sponsoring and no money, and so yeah, at the moment we are doing a break. Because without money, I don't want my musicians to play without money. That doesn't make sense. And last year we had a little chamber project, the three of us, so with oboe and horn and me on the harmonium.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm waiting till this pandemic is a little bit over. A little bit over, and we can I can start to get some money and funding.
Yeah. Some time perhaps, but the world will be ready at the right moment.
And I mean, there's a lot of work to do, not also with performing orchestra works. You know what I'm talking about. So yeah.
And chorus would be an issue as well. Is it tricky to find all the parts and the orchestral scores for some of the works?
Finding scores?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm collecting scores. So actually, every time I'm doing a lot of research on the internet, and sometimes, occasionally, you discover something, and then I buy them. I also did some, well, it's not an educational video, but describing videos. So, for example, Ethel Smythe, The Prison. I bought the score, and of course I cannot perform it anywhere at the moment, but I analyzed the score and made a little description video, so 10 minutes describing what this piece is about. So this is what I possibly can do at the moment for orchestra music.
And so that they're keen when they get an opportunity to come to hear the performance.
Yes.
Yes. So the pandemic, it sounds like, has really affected your work and your life as well as everyone else, or everyone else. So specifically, your projects that you've done to pass this pandemic time. Is there anything else in specific in your orchestral life or other parts of your life that you've taken on during the pandemic?
Well, it really changed my life, but not in a bad way. Absolutely not. So this is really a little bit like the sound of not the sound, the miracle. The miracle of this pandemic, because it's such a bad event, and it created something very good for me, because when this started with the first lockdown, everything stopped for me. So I didn't have any rehearsals anymore. All concerts were cancelled. Even my teaching at university in Erfurt stopped. So it was a complete break. And I started my Coco project. We will talk about it a little bit later in detail. So my YouTube project, I started it in the second week of the lockdown in Germany, because no one knew what to do and what will happen next. And I had the same feeling. It was like I'm drifting. I have no clue what's coming. And then I thought, oh, everyone is so depressed at the moment. How would it be to play a little piece on my toy piano every day to cheer everyone up and also to cheer myself up? Yeah. And then I thought, well, it's a cute idea. I just do that. I started. And I didn't realize then what a huge project this would be. Even if you play a small piece every day, this is a challenge. Okay, but I didn't realize it, and I think it's good I didn't realize it. And I had really something to rely on. I wasn't depressed. I wasn't sad. I didn't have the time for that, because every day I had my little project And I mean, it's a lot because I had to do a lot of research because before the pandemic began, I didn't play a lot of piano anymore. I did some chamber music, but I didn't practice every day.
Right.
So I had to restart practicing. And because I'm not a concert pianist, of course, I didn't have any repertoire. I had 5 pieces in repertoire. So after 5 videos, I was done. So, and then I started to look for scores. And in the beginning, I also played a very mixed repertoire. So the standards of classical music and a little bit of pop and rock also and tango. So yeah, everything that came into my mind and was fitting for the specific day. And well, it was good for me because every day I got up in the morning and then I had to practice, I had to record a video, I had to do some repertoire and then to practice for the next day. So it was a full-time job. It was really good.
But it
And
would have given your life form, which is what
yes,
at that time, like,
it was so helpful because I realized that a lot of people they were very depressed, and I wasn't because I didn't have the time for that. It was really good. It helped me so really very deeply,
that's
and also for my network. I mean, the people watched it. This was really surprising for me, and they liked it, and some had wishes, and I also helped people because I wanted to spread some joy, and I did it. This was really beautiful, and also to stay in connection with people because at that time we all had to stay at home, and I wasn't lonely because I had constant contact all the time. And then as the project continued, I think around 50 videos or something, then I thought, well, actually, you always wanted to promote female composers. Why not in this small and tiny project also? And well, I didn't have any repertoire. Then I thought, okay, EMSLP, help me. Let's see if there is something for piano. And well, you know what I'm talking about. There is something for piano. How on earth can we all play this? Well, and then, yeah, I started to record it and discovered and learned so much fantastic scores. It's really a delight, and I'm still learning. And then I set my goal that I want to play at least 33% of female composers, a quota for myself. And then I also started to play multiple screen videos. This was also quite a challenge because I'm not a video producer, so I didn't have any clue how to do it. And now I finally made it and managed to make it. And well, so I can play 4 hands with myself. And I also found one piece, 6 hand.
okay.
So one day I would like to record that, and also an 8 hand piece, I think by Chaminade even.
Right.
So one fine day I'll get there. And now the Coco project is actually turning 2 years old in 3 days. So this will be the 2 years anniversary.
Oh.
And now, I mean, I'm doing this for 2 years, and meanwhile, I changed it. It's 2 videos per week, not a daily project anymore because I didn't have the power to hold on. And well, my next aim is to. It's a sort of self-experiment. I only played etudes by male composers. And I don't know if I can do it, but I want to play all the etudes from Farang, Louis Farang, Opus 50, and that's a big goal, all the etudes by Montgeroux.
Right.
Because the thing is, my technique is not so good as a pianist. And actually, those are piano schools.
Yeah.
And I want to find out how what impact will this have on my playing? Because I have this feeling already. I did 4 or 5 etudes. My hands are changing, and it feels differently. And maybe I told you that I started late with playing piano, with 16. So I sort of gave up when I was 24 or something, because I practiced a lot, 5 to 8 hours per day. And then I thought, okay, you're practicing a lot, but you will never be a good pianist. There's absolutely no way, because you started too late. And now, after playing 4 etudes by these female composers, I'm not quite sure, because I have the feeling that I'm really improving, really. And so this is why I'm sort of challenging myself and starting this self-experiment. And I mean, Mongeroux was really famous. Her method, I did some research about that. Wieck, so the father of Clara Wieck, who taught his daughter, which was a child prodigy, and also Schumann, her later husband. He taught them both. And the method from Mongeroux was found among his books. So probably they played it. Maria Szymanowska was a great piano virtuosa. And in one of her letters, she wrote that she's teaching only with Mongeroux because it's the best.
It is. It's such good stuff.
And also Fanny and Felix Mendelssohn, they were taught by Marie Bigot in Paris, and she also used this method. So actually, all the piano virtuosos of that time knew it and play it. And yeah, why not start this experiment?
Yeah. I wonder, Erica might know more about this. I know Marie Jael wrote pedagogical material, if there are studies available by Marie Jael. Or like she almost like continued from Mongeroux, I feel, you know. Oh, that's so exciting. So you named this project Coco, and I keep trying to guess what was the reason behind Coco. And I give up. Tell me, what's the name Coco mean?
What's the name? It's Corona Concerts.
Oh, duh.
Yes, but I didn't want to use the Corona because no one could hear that anymore. And I thought cocoa is nice because you think also of coconut. So, and every cocoa is like sort of a coconut. You don't know what's coming next. So you just open the video and then there's something.
There's this cuteness about it with the cute little instrument as well. Okay, brilliant. You said something earlier about contact with community or something. I forget the words you used, but there were 2 words you said in a row that had CO, and I wondered if that was it. But of course.
Aha! Contact community. That's good. I didn't thought about that.
It was, yeah. Coco could mean so many things. This is a total aside, but I happened to look up a little bit about Eva Meitner the other day, and I think there was kind of an interview where it was just a written interview and questions were asked of you and then short answers. I forget who did it, but I noticed that you were asked about the first classical recording that made a difference in your life, and you said it was Tchaikovsky Mendelssohn Violin Concerto. And I was like, same. That's exactly the same recording that I just played over and over and over and over and over. But both. So which recording was it? Who was the violinist?
I remember it was with the Gewandhaus. I think Sarah, no, I'm not sure. I can't remember. But it's the first CD my father made me as a present for Christmas.
Your
It was
father,
my very first CD, and I heard it like you over and over and over and over again.
my father gave me, this was an LP, my recording of
Mm.
Concertos of Tchaikovsky and Mendelssohn. My father gave me that, and he never would have bought me any other recording. But
Ah.
some trip, I don't know why he would bring that LP to me from a trip, but it was Isaac Stern and I think New York. So, anyway,
And I think, and now, meanwhile, I also thought maybe this is the idea why I was always obsessed by Leipzig. Because I didn't know where this was coming from. But when I was a child, was 16, I always said, I want to go to Leipzig. And everyone asked me why. At that time, I think the border was freshly open. So I grew up in Western Germany. And so
yeah,
everyone said, you want to go to Eastern Germany? Why? They come to live here. Why
yeah,
do you want to go there? And I was completely obsessed. And it was always my dream to be in Leipzig.
wow,
And then I came closer and closer. I studied in Weimar and had a little bit of contact to the opera house in Leipzig. And I remember when I first was in Leipzig, the first time was really, oh, what a city. You know, I loved it so much and it felt like home. And this is really interesting because it's the same thought that Ethel Smythe had.
oh, crazy,
Ethel Smythe was obsessed by Leipzig. She absolutely wanted to study here. She was on hunger strike, and their parents finally had to say, okay, then you can go to Leipzig. And there's a postcard or a letter she wrote when she came here, and it's Leipzig, here I am.
oh,
Expression mark, expression mark.
right,
And in her memories, she is describing her time in Leipzig as the most beautiful time of her life.
wow, incredible,
Uh, so, and I know exactly what she's feeling.
aha.
Yeah,
I mean,
I have the same feeling.
I'm very drawn to there, and I'm going to come and visit you as soon as I can get across
Mm.
the ocean.
You must. It's a rich city
It does.
and cultural, culturally so diverse. It's fantastic and open-minded.
Yeah.
It's familiar and open-minded. It's a city of, yeah, it's very complex. You always have both sides.
Okay, fantastic. And then
Mm.
composers that came through there, spent time there studying, or were based there, or from there. Um, I mean, I used to, in my former obsession, it was with Edvard Grieg's music, and
Oh, fantastic.
yeah, made three, four albums of his music. But of course, Leipzig
I'm a
was
member of the Greek Society in Leipzig.
goodness. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm very connected with the Greek Society as well internationally, and have been involved in conferences and stuff like
Oh,
that. But
great.
Leipzig for Greek was so important, almost as a reaction to it. Like he discovered really who he was. And
Yes.
no, I'm not that, you know. But it was a very important place and time for him. So maybe can you remind us all of the Komponistinnen, the female composers are associated with that? Well, you're the expert, of course. Ethel Smythe.
Yes, of course, Ethel Smythe. I did. Um, this is the other thing. During the pandemic, I had a lot of time to do some research, and as I'm really interested in historical female composers, of course, I did research. Um, who was here in Leipzig, in this cultural city? And I was really amazed. I mean, of course, Clara Schumann. Everyone is thinking about Clara Schumann. When you say Leipzig and female composers, the first thing that comes to your mind is Clara Schumann, of course.
Yeah,
And also Fanny Hensel.
also.
So I think that's the thing which comes to your mind at first. And then for me is of course Ethel Smythe, because she's such a, yeah, she's a composer of wonderful works, and she has a lot of connections to Leipzig. I mean, she studied here. So I did some research about the university. I mean, the University of Leipzig was one of the first worldwide to allow women to study music and composition. And so, of course, the female composers knew that, and they came. And Ethel Smythe was among them, and she wasn't so happy with the teaching, actually, but she learned a lot, especially in the society of Leipzig. So you talked about Grieg; they knew each other.
Yeah.
They had contact, and also Tchaikovsky. And Tchaikovsky told her to compose in the bigger forms and to work hard on orchestration. And she was also connected to the Herzogenbergs, and Elisabeth von Herzogenberg was her lover, even, and also a composer.
Yeah.
So this is really, really interesting.
And
And
for a time, Herzogenbergs, they were also in Leipzig.
yeah, Herzogenbergs were also in Leipzig. Yes.
Wow.
She was there. She was actually living there. Even she had a room in their house, and he was teaching. So she wasn't happy with her teacher at the university, Reinecke.
Right.
He was also the Gewandhauskapellmeister, and actually he wanted to compose and he wanted to conduct, but he actually didn't like to teach. Yeah.
Okay.
So, she wanted to really study composing, and Herzogenberg, he offered her to teach her, and he taught her and also his wife. They were together, and this is how they got a little bit closer. And he didn't know that she was together with his wife, but well, it was a strong connection, and she learned a lot. And she was also a member of the Bach Society in Leipzig, and she played violin even at one of the Passions. And then next thing, which makes her for me a real Leipziger, is that her opera, The Wreckers, was performed here in Leipzig.
Right.
I mean, it's a strong link, and also she was fighting for women's rights and for women's roads in UK, of course. But Leipzig is a strong city for female rights. It always has been. So this is the third connection for me.
Okay.
And this is why I'm really promoting Ethel Smythe wherever I can in Leipzig, because I think she should have some more visibility.
I'm seeing a vision, Eva. When you get your freie opera company, you're going to start with a production of The Wreckers.
Yeah, or the opera house. I don't have to conduct myself. I would be happy if the opera house would do it.
Okay.
Anyone can do it. I just want to have the Wreckers in Leipzig, staged in Leipzig again.
It's all about me because I want to come and see you conduct that production.
Okay, in this case, I do it. I would love to. Of course, I conduct everything by female composers. There's absolutely no question. I'd love to. So, and then you ask about female composers. I tell you what I also found. I found Amelie Niekisch. Everyone knows her husband, the famous husband, Gewandhauskapellmeister. But he had a wife, and his wife was composing. She wrote operettas. And I did some research, and I couldn't find the scores, but I found a vocal score, and I played the Vorspiel, the overture. You won't believe what fantastic music this is.
Oh.
It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. Wow. And nobody knows her. It's such a shame. And then I also I wondered. So Ethel Smythe had an opera staged in Leipzig, and then I wondered, was she the only one? I did some research, and no, she wasn't. There was also Mary Wurm or Mary Wom, German British, and she also studied composition in Leipzig. And her opera, Die Mitschuldigen, was staged here.
Amazing.
Yes, and I found, and the cool thing is, I found the vocal score, but also the complete orchestra material.
No.
It is in Berlin because here in Leipzig, when during World War II, the archive of the opera house burned down. So a lot of scores and orchestra materials got destroyed, but not this opera because they lent it to Berlin. It was also staged in Berlin. So everything is there. And this is one of my dreams also, that someone will grab this whole parts and just perform it. I also played the overture from the vocal score. It's fantastic music. Wow.
Amazing.
Really great. So one fine day, I hope I will be able to attend her performance or do it myself.
This is now turning into the opera festival of Leipzig.
Wait, there's another opera. So, and we also have this there's a German-British connection somehow. Yeah, we have Etta Smythe and we have Mary Worm, and there's a third one. You want to say something?
1 second, Eva. I see that Talia is here offering that she was also a conductor this Worm that you're
one conductor a day.
So anyway, so for my Leipzig Opera Festival that I'm envisioning, we could have Talia conducting and you.
Oh yeah. And we need a third. We need a third conductor because there was also Adela Madison, also a British composer, and she had the opera Der Talisman. And there was a review. So there were several reviews in the Leipziger Volkszeitung, which weren't really nice. It was about a female composer cannot compose, blah, blah, blah. But there was a review in the Times. And the Times said at that time that this was the first real success of British opera in Germany. Can you believe this?
Wow.
And I never ever heard of her name, and I never ever heard of this opera.
I know of her as a song composer. That she had an opera and that it was performed there. Incredible. So,
and I couldn't find the orchestra material, but I found the vocal score, and I'm waiting for it. It will come soon.
Yeah. Amazing. And did I remember correctly that Szymanowska was associated?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Maria Szymanowska played here, and I think that I read somewhere that the Wiegs were listening, Clara and her father, and they were deeply impressed by the sound quality of her playing. And which is what also is remarkable is that she composed a lot, and it was all printed, and it was printed in Leipzig by Breitkopf and Härtel. So I'm quite sure that she had some time here in Leipzig.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite. And then there are more probably still, or?
Yeah, I also found, you will love it, Helena Łupuska. She studied in Leipzig.
I did read that. Oh,
yes.
Erica and I, big fan.
And then I have two more female composers. The one is Teresa Carreno.
Oh.
She was the performer of the Greek piano concerto, and she lived in Coswig in her later years. Coswig is near Dresden, so also in Saxony. And I cannot find it anymore, but I remember that here on Instagram, a woman wrote me that I think she had a teacher who was pupil of Carreño, and she told her that Carreño was in Leipzig and was practicing La Campanella with open window, and people on the streets were just standing under that window and enjoying the fantastic sound of her. Yeah, but I cannot find the message anymore. But I remember that she wrote me that. And and the last fun fact I have for you is that also Amy Beach has a connection to Leipzig, because her Gallic Symphony was performed here, and she also performed her piano concerto being the soloist
Oh,
herself.
she was quite the pianist.
Yes.
That would have been, wow, in her lifetime. Incredible. So that's a lot to celebrate. I think I keep envisioning things, these big projects.
Leipzig is a female composer city, I tell you. And as you were talking about Greek, we actually plan also to make a chamber music concert in 2023, Greek and female composers.
Oh, can I come? All these Norwegian composers, Norwegian female composers.
Yeah, I mean, for example, Agatha Backer-Grøndal, of course, Teresa Carreno, Herzogenbergs also, and Amelie Nikirsch was also a friend of Greek.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Like another thing that I envision is where in the world will we design this huge, um, you know, big festival, like on the scale of, I don't know, what is a large chamber music, orchestral music, like, like the Edinburgh Festival, a big,
Oh, yeah.
where will we have that? That's all female composers. And obviously it has to be in Latin.
Oh, this would be a dream.
Okay, so
Ah.
that's what we'll do.
Okay, deal.
That. So you have a connection to any particular historical composer, and I've got the sense that like Amy Beach and Ethel Smythe. Is there anything else, any like that you have such a deep personal connection?
Um, well, it's so hard to decide,
Yeah,
if you know what I mean, because there's such so many brilliant music in
yeah,
this world, and it all has to be performed,
yeah,
really. But I'm very fond of British music, I must say. So Ethel Smythe, I love that a lot.
hmm,
And also French music. I think it's because of yeah, my mom is French,
yeah,
and I love Lily Boulanger and Mel Bonis and Cécile Chaminade. And in Germany, I don't know why, but also with the female composers, it's in Germany we play a lot of German composers.
hmm, for sure.
And even when you start with British music, Elgar, Enigma Variations, and Pomp and Circumstance, and maybe the Cello Concerto, and that's British music in Germany.
Um,
Maybe a little bit of Britain in
hmm,
the operas and
right.
Gustav Holst. But
Yeah.
it's there's no variety in British music. And so I would like to promote this a little bit. And with French music, it's nearly the same. What do you know about French music? It's Berlioz, Bizet, Carmen, maybe,
Yeah.
Ravel, a
Hmm,
little bit, but not the huge range of Ravel. So it's very limited also. French music is a little bit better than British music, but it's also there's something to do, I think.
yeah.
And then of course I also like Polish music.
Yeah.
Because Polish music it's only Chopin and maybe a little bit of Penderecki or Penderecki, both.
Right.
Yeah, but it's also wonderful. I like to play music that isn't played so much. I
Yeah.
think that's the interesting part.
Yeah, definitely. I feel the same way. Yeah, so the Wopuska and the Paula Sali, of course,
Bacevich,
and Batsevich, of
why
course.
don't people play Bacevich? I can't understand it.
Yeah, I have pushed one of my students. He has to do one of her etudes for his exam this year.
Great.
Excited.
And Florence Price also.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
people of color, they're so underrated and it's so unfair.
So unfair. Oh, if I see that we're almost at an hour and I'd like to try try to keep it into 60 minutes, but I feel like we could talk for another 3 hours.
Yes.
I was going to ask you one thing that's so not related to the female composers, but to Leipzig. I saw this play many years ago now called Bach in Leipzig, and I don't even remember who the playwright was, but it was all about this moment in time when Bach won the job over Telemann. And it was such a brilliant, you never saw Bach, but the way it was staged, you could hear when the cathedral doors opened, you could hear the organ music with Bach practicing in the cathedral, getting ready for his audition for the Leipzig job that he he got. I don't know if you've ever heard of this play. It's such a cool thing. It's probably written in English, so I don't know if you.
I will look it up.
In Leipzig, so cool. It should be translated and done there. So how do we find you if we look here on Instagram? Of course, you're under your name, Eva Meitner, and otherwise to get in contact with you.
Well, actually everywhere. So I have a website, of course, and I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube, of course. So if you want to, just look for me and you will find me.
There, Eva again. Such a joy to speak with you. I so appreciate your taking time here with me and for people. Next week's chat will be interesting about female composers of the classical era, most
Great.
and German, with the American pianist Alyssa Freeman. So I'm really looking forward to that topic, because that's an area where I'm only very recently starting to realize, wow, so many beautiful composers that I never heard.
And I think it's such a joy that so many people work on this topic.
Yeah.
Because if we were only two, it would be so poor, and we never would have any chance. And this is so, I love it so much that we are all passionate about it, and we help each other and we promote each other, and it's not about this fighting.
Energize each other also.
Yes, and I really love that networking because we all want the same thing. We want female composers to be played and to be heard. And this is so, I love it. I really love it.
Same, so much so.
And thanks so much for the invitation.
Oh, well, we'll talk again, and I look forward to that. And of course, don't forget all these events that I have planned for you in Leipzig. So that
we'll make it little by little.
Okay, all the best.
It was a delight. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in, and we'll put this up on YouTube, so it'll live on.
Fantastic. Right? Goodbye.
Ciao.
Ciao.
What happened? Come on.